Hi guys, it's Lana, and as you know, this is the Second Breakfast Club. So really quickly, I want to do an introduction to this series I'm about to do with my dad. I'm going to slap this at the beginning of every video in the series, so if you've already seen it, feel free to skip ahead. If not, please listen, just to help kind of clarify what we're going to be doing here. So as a lot of you know, Bangtan universe is basically solved at this point. There are webtoons coming out, there's novels coming out. The purpose of this series is not to solve the story. I'm not going to be telling my dad anything that won't help understand basic symbolisms. Like I'll tell him what the Demian book is when we get into the Wings short films because that's, you know, important. But I'm not going into deep theories. He's probably not going to get deep into every individual character or anything. I just wanted to see what this story looks like to fresh eyes, like eyes that have really never followed BTS or studied BTS, eyes that know mostly like literary symbolism and artistic composition, and just get his fresh, honest take on this. So with that in mind, I just want to make sure that when you leave comments or talk about this video that you consider what the actual goal is. I know in the past when we've done similar things, we've gotten feedback like, oh, you didn't talk about this book or you didn't talk about this thing. That's not the point here. The point is just fresh eyes. So don't go into this expecting anything intense. If you want more in-depth stuff, you can watch my actual theory videos. Although again, it's pretty much solved at this point, which is why I'm still unsure if we're even going to do the highlight reels and beyond, because that's on the webtoon. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this series, and I hope that it gives you a fresh perspective on things. It certainly was nice for me to go back and experiencing things for the first time almost again. It's really lovely. So enjoy and have fun.
So now we're going to move on to First Love, which I was just telling Dad, I find it really interesting because he's heard this song. In the very first video we did together, we did First Love and Forever Young. So I don't know.
I already interpreted it, so I guess we just skip it.
You interpreted the song. The song has nothing to do outside of a couple metaphors to do with the story. So this is Yoongi Suga's video. He's the one who got drunk and hit the friend. He's also the one who set himself on fire in the first one. So fire is definitely his element.
But even though we've had fire in the other people's...
Yes, yeah. And you could argue that's a touch of his presence in their lives. But definitely his element is fire in every video.
Sugar does burn.
Yeah. But it makes a lovely creme brulee when it does. So yeah, that's him. His symbols are definitely fire and the piano, music. So yeah, that's his character, and he's closely tied. His pair is Jungkook. So the one he was fighting with, the one who's whatever. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Interpret this how you will. But yeah, let's just do it. You guys know I'm so obsessive. I'm keep going what should I say? What should I not? And all it spells, I'm just not gonna say it. So 3, 2, 1, go. I should do another series with these in the future. I break down the filming of them.
There are numerous ways in which God can make us lonely and lead us back to ourselves. This was the way it dealt with me at that time.
First Love.
Okay. The closing symbol
Mm-hmm.
merged together a lie and the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the key. So you begin with him not caring. He's going to break the law. He's going to do whatever he can to get to that piano.
Mm-hmm.
Then he starts playing it, and it's not as satisfying as he's hoped.
That's an out-of-tune piano.
And then he starts being haunted by the melody of the piano. So he tries to walk away, and he starts going on a path, and he's nearly hit. And he realizes it's a dangerous path because it's not a stable career. It's not. There's so many pitfalls with that musical career. And then he turns around and gets hit with it, and it's suddenly pulled right into it. You see the splatter of him as he walks away.
Yeah.
Wiping out all those things, and he's thinking, what would have happened if I'd completely given up on music? And then he walks back and he sees that a lot of what he'd done with music had caused so much destruction, and how his old life was gone, burned up, and he was left now with music and lies. That's how I interpret that.
Very cool. Very interesting.
Okay. And the fire showing things going away. The past going away. And he can't get it back. But he fully expected to be caught and stopped originally because the alarm went off and he was waiting to be picked up and no one came. And so he fully expected people to stop him with it in his career, but it didn't. It haunted him.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. I find it very interesting. Like your interpretation, tying it to a career. Very interesting. I never thought about it that way before. So it's cool. Yeah. This is why I like doing this, guys. It makes me think. It makes me really happy.
So what did you think about it then? What did you tie it to?
Well, the similar bits is definitely like walking this destructive path, right? Like, all the beginning stuff I saw exactly the same. Like, he was doing all of these things that he knew weren't good. He desperately had this desperate, destructive relationship with music, where it was kind of, he needed it, but he knew it was bad for him. He broke the thing. I love your thought about he was waiting to get caught and nobody came. Because to me, that reminds me of like people who expect people to stop them from destroying themselves, but nobody does, right?
Uh-huh.
And then he goes on this path, almost gets hit by the car, which again, I love your thought of that being like a sudden realization of like what's going on in your life, right? That you're being destructive. But I thought the message, the splatter, he could have died there. And to me, that's almost that idea of riffs, like in more of a general, I interpret it more in a general sense of whenever we're walking our lives, we make big decisions that bring us to one direction, but that means intentionally turning our backs on another path. So it was almost like a reality split. In one, he died, and in one, he lived. In one, he would have died if he'd still been in that shop, because of the shop where he's playing the piano. And obviously, that's the burning piano we've seen.
Right.
But I'm also making a lot of these thoughts, knowing things like the whistle that was directing him was Jungkook's song from the first video.
Okay.
Who was having nightmares of a burning piano.
But he began playing the song before the whistling started.
He did.
So is he saying Jungkook stole his song?
No. I love your thought about that being his song, like his music from there. I think in terms of story, and just because I know the story, Jungkook was the one who he expected to save him. And they had this relationship with music, and in my opinion, their friendship was very tight, but also fairly abusive. Like, you find out much later in actual story that, like, you know, his mom died in a fire, and he thinks that he's going to go down the same path. Like, he's a destructive person, right? And he's an alcoholic, and he's all this messed up stuff, and he keeps expecting Jungkook to save him, or he's running away from Jungkook because he doesn't want to wreck his life anymore. So I think that whistle was his friend saving him, get out of the store, trying to lead him away from that life, and then he stopped him from getting hit by the car. Mm-hmm. And as he's watching the piano, his past, his love go up in flames, the whistle is still calling him in another direction.
So why is his music a lie?
That I've never even thought that. I think that's really amazing. Like, that's a really interesting point. Because one of the big mysteries of these short films is the bubbles that mesh aren't done with the people who are paired in the story. So people would assume, oh, his would blend with Jungkook's, right?
No, I was just looking at the concept.
That's why I'm saying I love that.
And the music
I love that.
Go together.
Yeah. And I think perhaps his relationship with music was a lie. Right? Mm-hmm. Like the piano, I think the piano a great deal represents his young self. Mm-hmm. You know, even in a song he talks about, which is not tied to the story, but he's like, you know, the piano was his first love, his first introduction to music. But in the story, it's so destructive for him, this relationship with music. And like, the roots are corrupt in this tree of something that means something to him. So by destroying that piano, it takes away everything, and that means it's fresh start. It's like Phoenix-like. I don't know. Like, I think these are so artistic, and I'm so stuck in story that there's a million interpretations for it. Right. And I really liked hearing yours. Like, it made me think differently in really good ways. Because I'd always kind of attributed this to, oh, it's a parable about consequences. You know, every choice you make will take you down a different path, and that means you're leaving this other path. And we never know if we're walking away from the fire or toward the fire. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then just showing, like, one shift of his heel, he would have been dead. He would have been that splatter on the ground. You know, or if he hadn't left the store, he would have been burned. But that also, to me, kind of gives this feeling of, like, fate still wants him alive. So there must be some good he could still make of himself, even though he was this really destructive person. I don't know.
Or if music
I've never put into words how I interpret this. It's
or maybe even if music to him is the lie. It's the way he can try to change his life in such a way that he'll like himself. Yeah. Through the music.
His music is Jimin's pill.
Right.
You know?
It's his way of dealing with reality.
Yeah. I think it's all valid.
Okay.
I love these conversations, you guys. I'm so excited. I don't get a lot of literary people to talk about this with. Like, I've never explained out loud in words what I think of in this video. Okay. I've always just interpreted through feeling. And so it's really cool to hear your interpretation, then force myself to put it into words outside of the rest of the story. And it's really good.
Good.
I don't know. These videos, they're more for me. Like, I hope, even if no one watches them, I'm going to think of this as such a good experience.
Oh, good.
Okay, so from here we're going to move.
It's bonding.
I know. Bonding over trauma and fires and
lies.
Stabbing fathers.
Yes.
So next week is Reflection, guys. Definitely go watch it now on Patreon, or we'll see you in a week with it. And we're going to just continue down this dark, twisted path together. So until next time.
Live long and prosper.
Also, like, comment, and subscribe to both of us. Yay, bye.